You read the title, you know what I'm about to do. So yeah, in this video, I'm gonna be comparing Sonic Frontiers and Donkey Kong Bonanza and pointing out all of the similarities between these games, as well as also pointing out the differences in the similarities as well. So yeah, quick disclaimer before I start is that I know some of these similarities I'm gonna point out in this video have been used in other games since some of them are common video game tropes. So if you hear a similarity in this video that has been used in another game besides Sonic Frontiers and Donkey Kong Bonanza, please do not bitch about it in the comments, okay? Because I am aware that, it's been used in, other games besides these two. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started. These are the similarities and differences between Sonic Frontiers and Donkey Kong Bonanza. So starting off is the openings in both games. Yeah, right away we already have a similarity. Just and yeah, these involve the protagonist in both games starting to explore a new location with a group of individuals, but end up getting sucked into a new place and get trapped there, but manage to escape. This, of course, is referring to this. Of course, I'm referring to Sonic starting to explore the Starfall Islands with his friends, and in Sonic Frontiers, and then Donkey Kong starting to explore Ingot Isle with a group of miners in Donkey Kong Bonanza. The difference is that in Sonic Frontiers, Sonic explores the Starfall Islands from the sky, but gets sucked into a new world, that being, cyberspace. While in Donkey Kong Bonanza, Donkey Kong explores Ingot Isle from the ground and then gets sucked up underground. Oh yeah, and then of course we have a difference in the protagonist of both games. So while Sonic shows his feelings through words, Donkey Kong shows his feelings through actions. So while one talks a lot, the other one does not talk at all. And I don't know if making Donkey Kong mute was intentional by the developers for that game, simply because they didn't want the game to be an exact replica of Sonic Frontiers. Especially since, the rivalry between Nintendo and Sega is back. I don't know. I don't know if that was the reason. I don't know if that's the reason on why they made Donkey Kong mute in that game. I'm not sure, but if that is, then wow. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked here. Next up, both games are open world and have you explore and collect stuff that can be used to buy and unlock certain things. In fact, both games have gates that have you collect a certain number of an item to unlock them, which access stages that have you collect stuff during the stage. So this, of course, in Sonic Frontiers, Sonic, you collect various amounts of collectibles, that being, portal gears, lost cocoa, skill points, all that. And then there are these portals. I forget what they're called. That lead you to or gates. I don't know what they're called, but essentially you need portal gears in order to access. You need a certain amount of portal gears in order to access the stage, because if you don't have the right amount, you won't be able to get in. And then once you're in, you have to clear the stage that's within, and then, all that. Donkey Kong Bonanza is more or less the same thing. You collect, it's another open world game that has you collect, gold, um, banandium chips, yeah, and fossils. Of course, the gold is used to unlock certain ruins that allow you to access stages where you can get banandium gems, which are required to unlock more skills. So, but the difference between these is that in Sonic Frontiers, after clearing the stage, it rewards you with vault keys that are used to open Chaos Emerald vaults. While Donkey Kong Bonanza does no such thing. You just, in Donkey Kong Bonanza, you just go in the ruins, you collect the banandium gems inside, and then that's it. You don't get any special reward after finishing the area. All you get is the banandium gems you collect along the way. In fact, if you don't get any banandium gems in the stage at all, then, what's the point of even going in there? Anyways, next up, both games have you find and rescue friends from cages who are then left in a weird state. On top of that, you also forge new paths with these characters. The difference is, Sonic Frontiers has you rescue 3, while Donkey Kong Bonanza has you rescue the same one 3 times. Oh yeah, so from here on, there are going to be spoilers, so click away from the video now if you want to avoid getting spoiled from if you want to avoid getting spoiled for Sonic Frontiers or Donkey Kong Bonanza. Yeah, I probably should have said that at the beginning, but these aren't exactly spoilers for the game, so go ahead and click away now if you want to avoid getting spoiled. Alright, spoiler warning is over. So, as I was saying, you could count saving Poppy Kong in the Groove Layer in Donkey Kong Bonanza as, saving a friend, but she's not left in a weird state like Princess Sally, Knuckles, Tails, or Oddrock / Pauline. Both games have a skill tree. The difference is, Sonic Frontiers has you learn skills in a certain order, while Donkey Kong Bonanza lets you learn whatever skills you want to learn in any order. Of course, some of the skills in Donkey Kong Bonanza allow you to increase your health and have your strength be improved, while in Sonic Frontiers, you need to collect seeds and take them to the Hermit Cocoa in order to, get your attack and defense stats stronger. And then for the speed and ring stats, you need to find the Lost Cocoa and then take them to the Elder Cocoa and then, upgrade it from there. Anyways, both games have characters that speak a language that's made up by the developers. Sonic Frontiers with the Ancients and the Cocoa, and Donkey Kong Bonanza with literally everyone in the game except Pauline. Now one could argue Donkey Kong doesn't speak a made-up language either, since he's mute. But if his father Cranky Kong speaks a made-up language, then maybe Donkey Kong also knows how to speak that same language, but just chooses not to. Again, Donkey Kong is mute in Donkey Kong Bonanza, so yeah. It's not clear whether or not he knows how. It's not clear whether or not he speaks a made-up language, or but. Uh, but anyway, there are shops that allow you to trade circular objects for better items in both games. The fishing tokens in Sonic Frontiers, after you collect, purple, after you collect purple fishing coins, and then you can use, and which you use to fish in order to get those tokens. And then, of course, with Donkey Kong Bonanza, you have the Banandium chips, which are used to exchange for Banandium gems or for discs. Okay, both games have an exclusive power to the game that the protagonist gets. Sonic getting the cyber abilities in Sonic Frontiers, and Donkey Kong getting the Bonanza transformations in Donkey Kong Bonanza, which are needed in order to progress further into the story. Except the difference is one can be used solo, while the other requires your partner. The former being Sonic's cyber abilities, and the latter being the Bonanza transformations. Both villains in the games are connected to another character in the game, Sage being connected to Robotnik in Sonic Frontiers, and Void Kong being connected to Pauline in Donkey Kong Bonanza, since later on in the story you find out in Sonic Frontiers, Sage is working for, or was created by Robotnik and the ancient cyber data, and Pauline being, she was trying to be used by Void. So they also use what you're looking for again. Both villains also use what you're looking for against you. Sage activating the Titan's anger, and Void using the Banandium gems as fuel for his machine. Except the difference with them is them both is their motivations. Sage wants to live and serve Robotnik at all costs, while Void wants to use Pauline's power to awaken the Banandium root to get his wish of an infinite supply of gold. In both games, certain villains had a change of heart and switched sides. Sonic Frontiers with Sage, and later Robotnik after finishing Chaos Island, and Donkey Kong Bonanza with Poppy Kong, and later Grumpy Kong after finishing the main story. The protagonists in both games suffer going into a state of corruption where they can no longer move, making their ends start to lose hope, but realize they can't give up, so they save them from this state, but in doing so unleashes the true villain of the game, which the citizens of the place that they've explored had sealed away. Yeah, so you remember my video of how I said Donkey Kong Bonanza will be Nintendo's version of Sega Sonic Frontiers? And how I mentioned in that video where I said Donkey Kong would be going through a corruption situation similar to Sonic's. Well, that aged incredibly well, because it's something I knew would happen in the story. I didn't know when it was going to happen. And both of these things, they happen near the end of the story, mind you. So, and then you have to explore the last area of the game in order to fight the true villain. So that's another similar. Okay, sorry. But anyways, there's quite a few differences with this one I've talked about, so I'm gonna go ahead and list them off. One, the way they get corrupted is entirely different. In Sonic Frontiers, Sonic took on too much cyber energy to save everyone to the point where he couldn't endure it and couldn't endure the corruption any longer, so he succumbed to his fate. While in Donkey Kong Bonanza, Void corrupted his body as a last resort to make Pauline wake up, in order to make Pauline wake up the Banandium root. The way the true villains are unleashed are entirely different too. In Sonic Frontiers, the end is unleashed after Sonic saved his Friends from their digitized state. While in Donkey Kong Bonanza, K. Rool is unleashed after Pauline sang to save Donkey Kong. And 3, what the true villains did to the previous villains after getting unleashed is different as well. In Sonic Frontiers, while the end doesn't do anything to Sage at the moment, something does happen to Sage on as a result of what the end does, which I will get to in a minute. While in Donkey Kong Bonanza, K. Rool freaking uppercuts Void into his own machine and traps him in there. Okay, in both games, the true villains have 3 phases to their fights, and both end up dying in an explosion. Except the fight phases are different in both games. So yeah, this is gonna be a long one. In Sonic Frontiers, Super Sonic fights the end while it's still trapped inside Supreme. Then the end is freed from Supreme and goes into space to regain its true form, prompting Sage to take control of Supreme to help destroy the end since Super Sonic alone won't be able to stop it. The second phase of the fight is a shooter where Sage makes Supreme fire light shots and dark shots to weaken the end. The final phase has Supreme throwing Super Sonic in QuickTime events to finish off the end for good. The end uses the last of its strength to prepare an explosion to wipe out all life on the planet, but Sage sacrifices herself to destroy the end, and her dying words to Sonic is for him to look after Robotnik. In Donkey Kong Bonanza, K. Rool uses the Banandium root to transform himself, but Donkey Kong kills him. Donkey Kong and Pauline tell the Banandium root their wishes and start to go up to the surface. The credits roll, but then K. Rool awakens and, kind of just fakes out the credits rolling and chases them with a hover pack that he gets out of thin air, by the way, as he's determined to get the Banandium root, which begins the second phase, where you have to avoid his attacks and throw a chunk of gold at him at the end. They all reach the surface, where K. Rool gets the Banandium root again and uses it to flood New Donk City with Banandium mush, where he will devour the entire city with a single bite. The third phase has K. Rool use the Banandium root to transform into something much worse and requires you to use all the Bonanza transformations you learned. In the end, Donkey Kong and Pauline overpower and punch him into space, where he explodes and dies. Now, okay, oddly enough, I just realized this right now, but both the end and K. Rool have plans that involve them wiping out life. The end wanting to destroy the entire planet, and K. Rool wanting to eat an entire city filled with humans. So add that to the list. Okay, sorry. Almost done here. The endings in both games have the protagonist and their friends go off and follow their dreams. Sonic Frontiers has everyone having new goals for themselves, and they've had growth along the way. And then same thing applies to Donkey Kong Bonanza. So both games have post-credit, and finally, both games have post-credit sections that reveal that the previous villain is still alive. While Sonic Frontiers just has a post-credit scene of Robotnik bringing Sage's consciousness back, Donkey Kong Bonanza has a post-game that has you help Pauline find inspiration for a new song, which also reveals that Void is still alive at some point, but was set free and is now loose somewhere. This fact, of course, you would only know if you've talked to Poppy Kong in the Forbidden Lair. And there you have it. Those are all of the similarities and differences between Donkey Kong, between Sonic Frontiers and Donkey Kong Bonanza. So yeah, that's my comparison between the two. And yeah, there is quite a few differences in these games, but I wouldn't be surprised if the devs making Donkey Kong Bonanza just almost a mirror copy of Sonic Frontiers was their intention. Because, I mean, if that was their intention while making the game, I would not be surprised. Considering the rivalry between Nintendo and Sega is back. So, yeah. So, what did you guys think of? What did you guys think of this video? Are there any similarities that I missed in this? Are there any similarities that I missed? If I missed any, comment below. And then, of course, also, if you want, you can point out the differences in those similarities, but, that's entirely your choice. I'm not forcing you to do that. I mean, you're only able to comment if you have a YouTube channel, so I don't know. Anyway, like this video if you liked watching me, or hearing me, I should say. Go over all this and comparing these two games. Share this video with people that you know and say Sonic Frontiers and Donkey Kong Bonanza are nearly identical, or something like that. And then subscribe if you want to see future videos like this one. I mean, if you want to see me compare more games and point out all the similarities and differences between those two games, I'll go ahead and do that. I mean, do you want me to compare Sonic Frontiers or Donkey Kong Bonanza to another game? I can do that. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.